Today, we're going to dig into the wild origin story behind one of the most common phrases you'll ever hear in a gym.
I mean, seriously, have you ever actually stopped and wondered about that? Why 3 sets of 10? Not 8, not 12, 10. It feels like this ancient, unbreakable rule of working out, right? But here's the thing. It wasn't just some number someone pulled out of a hat. It was forged in a time of crisis by a doctor with a crazy idea that flew in the face of, well, pretty much all accepted medical wisdom.
Okay, so to really get how mind-blowing this whole idea was, you gotta understand what people believed back then. We're talking early 20th century. If you got hurt, the doctor's orders were simple. Whatever you do, do not get tired. Seriously. The thinking was all about rest, maybe some heat, and super gentle exercises with lots of reps. The goal wasn't to build strength, nope. It was just to get a little blood flowing without ever fatiguing the muscle. Pushing yourself? That was considered straight-up dangerous.
So you can probably see where this is going. This whole avoid fatigue at all costs idea, it created a massive problem during World War II. You've got military hospitals just overflowing with injured soldiers. The sheer number of casualties was just staggering. And these super slow, gentle rehab methods, they just weren't cutting it. In fact, they were making a bad situation a whole lot worse. Get this. With those old-school, gentle methods, a soldier with something like a bad knee could be laid up in a hospital for 6 to 9 months. Think about that. The entire system was completely jammed up. The army was desperate. They needed a way to get these guys healthy and back in the fight, and they needed it fast. And right into the middle of this crisis walks the hero of our story. It's 1944, and a brand new lieutenant, Dr. Thomas DeLorme, shows up for duty at Gardner General Army Hospital in Chicago. And this guy, he had an idea. A really radical idea that was about to turn the entire medical world on its head.
See, DeLorme he knew in his bones that the conventional wisdom was dead wrong. Why? Because he'd lived it. As a kid, he got rheumatic fever and was stuck in bed for 4 months, just wasting away. Doctors told him his heart was weak, that he could never, ever do anything strenuous for the rest of his life. But DeLorme, he wasn't having it. He decided to prove them all wrong, started lifting weights, and turned himself into an absolute powerhouse. They even nicknamed him the Bama Hercules. And look, this wasn't just some tall tale he told. This picture right here, this is the proof. This is DeLorme in 1939. He literally built this physique using the exact methods every other doctor was telling people to avoid. That personal experience gave him a point of view that, well, no other doctor in that hospital had.
So there he is at Gardner Hospital, surrounded by all these soldiers who are just recovering at a snail's pace. And you can just imagine the light bulb going off in his head. He's thinking, hey, if heavy lifting fixed me, why can't it fix them? He just needed someone to take a chance on his crazy idea.
Now, just remember, this is what physical therapy was back then. Super gentle, super careful movements. What DeLorme wanted to do was the polar opposite. He wanted to hit those muscles with heavy resistance, to actually force them to adapt, to get stronger, and to do it way faster.
And the secret weapon? It was this ridiculously simple device called an iron boot. You just strap it to your foot, load it up with weight plates, and boom! You can now apply heavy, super targeted resistance to a specific muscle, like the quads, which are so important for stabilizing an injured knee.
So his very first volunteer, a Sergeant Kowalek, recovered so fast he was actually able to run again, which was amazing. But the real game changer was Sergeant Easley. This guy had ruptured ligaments in his knee and had been told, point blank, you're going to wear a brace for the rest of your life. But DeLorme looked at him and saw his quad muscle had just wasted away, and he thought, okay, let's try strengthening that with some heavy weight. And check this out. After only 1 month of DeLorme's protocol, Easley's knee was so strong and stable that he literally threw his brace in the trash, for good. He actually got famous around the hospital for his dancing, for his jitterbugging. I mean, you can't argue with results like that. It was just undeniable proof.
Okay, so as you can imagine, word spread like wildfire through that hospital. Suddenly, soldiers were lining up to get DeLorme's new treatment. His commanding officer was so impressed, he basically said, here are the resources, do a proper study. And DeLorme knew this was his chance. He had to take this thing that was working and turn it into a real, scientific system that anyone, anywhere, could use.
So the system didn't just appear overnight. At first, DeLorme was having guys do a grueling 7 to 10 sets of 10 reps. I mean, brutal. But after the war, he teamed up with another doctor, Arthur Watkins, and they refined it. They figured out that doing fewer sets but making the weight progressively heavier actually worked even better, and that's how they landed on the magic formula. The first set at 50% of your max for 10 reps, the second at 75%, and the final set all out at 100%. 3 sets, 10 reps, there it is.
But there was a bit of a PR problem. He first called his method heavy resistance exercise, and you can just imagine how that went over with other doctors. It sounded scary. It made them think of circus strongmen, not serious medical treatment. It sounded dangerous, and it flew in the face of everything they've been taught for decades.
DeLorme was genuinely worried that the name itself was stopping his idea from spreading. And that's when his wife Eleanor stepped in. She suggested a rebrand, something that sounded a little less intimidating and a lot more scientific.
And the name she came up with? Progressive Resistance Exercise, or PRE for short. And it was perfect. It described exactly what you were doing, progressively adding more resistance. And it was a name the medical establishment could finally get behind. Honestly, it was a marketing stroke of genius, and it was a huge reason the idea took off.
So now they had it all, a method that was proven to work and a name that people could actually accept. DeLorme's protocol was ready for the big time. It basically exploded out of those military hospitals and went on to change the worlds of rehabilitation and fitness forever.
Just look at this. This is DeLorme in the clinic he helped set up after the war. I mean, take a good look. Does that look like a 1940s hospital to you? No way. It looks like a modern gym. This was absolutely revolutionary. He was treating patients with equipment you'd only find in the most hardcore weightlifting gyms back then.
I mean, you really can't overstate his impact. The U.S. Army made his method their official standard. He used it to help polio victims get their muscle function back. He came up with the whole concept of the 10-rep max, giving us a scientific way to measure strength. And maybe most importantly, he made strength training legitimate in the eyes of the entire medical world. His book on it became the textbook for physical therapy for decades to come.
And that, right there, brings us all the way back to the start. So the next time you're at the gym and you hear someone say 3 sets of 10, I want you to remember this story. It's not just some random number. It is the direct legacy of a national crisis during World War II, a doctor who refused to accept what he was told, and a revolution in medicine that all started with one simple iron boot.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other truths that we just accept every day? What other things started out as some crazy, defiant idea from one person who just happened to be right?